The Florida Keys has its first case of COVID-19 and plans to shut down hotels and businesses beginning Monday night. Monroe County Mayor Heather Carruthers is with us via Skype from her home office in Key West. Mayor, good to have you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I just want to correct one thing. Actually, our hotels close as of 6 p.m. today. We issued that order on Thursday evening.
Okay, thanks for that correction. And as we speak, in case people are watching this on the web into perpetuity, this is Sunday, and so you'll be closing tonight. What does that mean practically speaking? How do you get people to leave the Keys? Because I will say we were there this week. You've been under a state of emergency technically since last Sunday, and
Right.
we frankly saw no one moving, and bars and restaurants full, people not really worried in many cases, not residents who are worried. But how is this practically going to get done?
We are asking all of our lodging properties to tell their folks that they have to check out. We did that as of Thursday. And I'll tell you, I rode my bike around the island today and saw very little traffic, very few people out. And you see single people and maybe, two people together walking, biking outdoors, no lines, even at Cuban Coffee Queen this morning. So I think the message is out now. We've closed our bars. Our restaurants in the city of Key West are doing takeout only. We're moving to that throughout the county because of the governor's orders as well. There's really not a lot of recreation and certainly not a lot of touring. We've closed our attractions down here. So, it's really a time when everybody needs to hunker down, stay home.
I'm going to ask you a fairly pointed question. Now that all of those things have been done, they weren't done this week. And when we were there on Wednesday, there were no positive cases listed yet, although the county administrator said he would not be surprised that there were. The Keys is going through much like what Broward and Dade and the rest of the state is going through, in that testing is now ramping up. So we are seeing what we didn't know was there. So the Keys gets its first testing Monday, is my understanding. And are you concerned that all of these steps might be a little too late?
We had our first confirmed case after we issued the order to close hotels. So we've been following CDC protocols in terms of what's the scientific evidence of the disease and the spread in your community. And we have consistently exceeded those protocols in terms of first the emergency management, then the restaurants, then the bars, and finally hotels. So part of why we actually took the step that we took was not because of what we were seeing within the city of Key West and the county of Monroe, but what we were seeing from our neighbors to the north. That's why we chose to close the Keys to visitors and to tourists.
And so the other side of that equation, much like everywhere else, so much of Monroe County's economic stability depends on service workers and the tourist trade. Monroe County is a fairly expensive place to live, and a lot of people who work there on a daily basis struggle with doing that. What is the county doing to support so many people in an unprecedented wave of unemployment and the after cascading effects that go with that?
Well, right now we're evaluating what resources we have available. Certainly the county is going to do what it can to increase our partnership with some of our nonprofits that provide the kinds of services people need. We have already increased our delivery of in-home meals. We're maintaining our transportation services to elderly and afflicted people who need to get to physicians' offices, for instance. And so we're trying to do our best. We're seeing what resources are available to us, and we also have staff that is taking a look at all of these packages that are coming down from the state and the federal government right now and how we can expedite getting them to people. This isn't dissimilar from what we went through after Irma. I'm hoping, though, that the speed with which our partners at higher levels of government deliver can do so faster than they did after Irma. That was obviously a frustration. But we're going to continue to do what we can, because obviously that's been one of the the prime issues as we've gone through this little by little. This is really uncharted territory for all of us.
Yeah, and that's such a good point, because Irma is a hurricane. You've seen plenty of those, and the BP oil spill comes to mind about a decade ago also. But the
Right.
difference is those were, a hurricane and a BP oil spill, that's an occurrence and it's over and it's devastating, but the recovery is done when the incident ends. Not only is this not over, we have no idea where this is going, and that is a tremendous hardship on so many levels. Let me ask you about the hospitals in the Keys. We were listening to Jared Moskowitz, the Florida Director of Emergency Management, talking about identifying other resources in case of a surge of patients, which frankly is expected. Talk a little bit about what the Keys resources in healthcare and hospital space might be.
Well, sure. We're a small rural community, and we don't have the kind of extensive resources that mainland communities have. And that's one of the primary reasons we're asking visitors to stay closer to their own homes rather than to be here. Having said that, we do have 3 hospitals in the Keys. We've been assured that they are working and doing their best to prepare for this. There are several isolation rooms already at the Lower Keys Medical Center, none of which are inhabited because we don't have any cases that require hospitalization at this point. And I know that there are a couple hundred beds throughout the Keys that may be accessible to us. But we're also, I know, at Mariners Hospital, they're going to be setting up some tents to do some additional testing there, drive-through testing, and Community Health, CHI, is also going to be setting up some testing tents in Marathon. So, as with every place else, as more people get tested, we're likely to see more cases. Whether those cases will require hospitalization is yet to be seen, but we are working with all of our partners, including, remember, we have the Naval Air Station Key West here, and our military partners have always been terrific resources when we've had issues like this. So we're in contact with all of these groups and coordinating literally practically on an hourly basis.
And before I let you go, talk a little bit about the testing that's starting tomorrow. That'll be Monday the 23rd, the drive-through testing. Will that be set up much like it is right now in Broward and Dade, where there is not widespread testing for anybody? You've got to be either a first responder or 65 and older, or with symptoms, or a reason to be tested. Take us through that process just so people are very clear.
Right, and I apologize in advance that I don't have the phone number, but CHI is asking people to call to do a telephone screening before they drive to get tested. And as with any place else, if you're not exhibiting any symptoms, if you haven't traveled or been near anyone who's traveled, you're probably not going to go to the front of the line to get tested. Obviously, nationwide, we have a real lack of the resources to do the testing that needs to be done. We've seen in other countries that extensive testing is the way to control this. So until we can get to that point and ramp up enough of those tests, we have to be able to triage and make sure that our most vulnerable people are tested first. And I can tell you the one case that we have had so far that's been confirmed by the CDC, that those individuals are being quarantined, and our health department is doing the contact tracing that's required in this kind of circumstances. So, everybody's working overtime on this.
Appreciate that. And we will get, for our Monroe County viewers, who we value greatly, we will get that phone number and we will put that up and make sure that we take good care of them as well. Heather Carruthers, Mayor of Monroe County, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.